sure. Dan, I was thinking about how heading into the print, we were talking about some of the threads, the themes, and we were talking about, listen, everybody we knew was going to make a beeline for the data center as soon as it hit. And there was this sort of narrative building out there, well, what if, because you had new GPU platform Blackwell on the way, and maybe customers, they delayed, they paused, because they were waiting for the shiny thing. It didn't look like that happened.
Doesn't seem like that's happening, and I guess, they're projecting these, the revenue for the next quarter, that 28 billion plus or minus 2%, which, knocks out the 26.6 that analysts have been expecting. The Blackwell chips aren't going to come out until the end of the year, right? So that's something that I think you start to look at, okay, well, if they're continuing to see this kind of revenue, what does it mean when, the big shiny thing comes out, the big shiny, more expensive piece comes out? And, one of the things that that during GTC that Jensen had really kind of pushed was the new Blackwell, the GB200 chip. That's the 2 Blackwell chips and the Grace chip kind of all merged together into the super chip. That's going to be pretty pricey. So you got to imagine that when that starts to sell, where's the revenue going to go from there?
And one more thing that we noticed in the release here is that Jensen points out who are the customers for a data center, which is important here. He talks about that beyond cloud service providers, generative AI is expanded to consumer internet companies, enterprise, sovereign AI, automotive and healthcare customers. He says creating multiple multi-billion-dollar vertical markets. And as Dan and I talked about off air, that's important because there was concern maybe that they were too reliant on the so-called hyperscalers.
Too concentrated. Jensen's saying we serve a lot of people.
Yeah, but Colette Kress, the CFO, in her statement saying still 40% of that data center
chunk
revenue is those hyperscalers.
Those cloud giants.
Yeah.
Thank you guys both so much. Appreciate it.
Before Nvidia reported its blockbuster earnings, there were rumors going around that AWS was pulling the plug on its plans to buy more of Nvidia's flagship H100 chips in order to wait for the release of the more powerful Blackwell chips. Nvidia stock dipped at the news as investors reacted to the uncertainty around demand for the company's chips in the near term. But Amazon's cloud services unit came out and denied the rumors, saying that this only applies for one supercomputer project between the two companies. In today's video, we're going to unpack this event and talk about this expected demand issue that many Nvidia analysts have been warning about. Additionally, we'll walk you through why exactly we think these concerns are a bit overblown, especially after some recent comments made by CEO Jensen Huang himself. But before we do that, if you want to keep up with Nvidia's latest updates and keep up with the stock market's latest news, you can follow our Twitter account. We post multiple times daily about the biggest changes and catalysts in the market, so click the follow button if you don't want to miss the newest market updates. Now, back to today's video.
Joining us now, NVIDIA founder and CEO Jensen Huang, fresh off the conference call. Jensen, welcome. Thank you so much for being with us.
I'm happy to be here. Nice to see you guys.
You too. I want to start with Blackwell, which is your next generation chip. It's shipping this year, you said on the call. You also said on the call, we will see a lot of Blackwell revenue this year. So if we're looking at about $28 billion in revenue in the current quarter, and Blackwell is a more expensive product than Hopper, the chip series out now, what does that imply about revenue in the fourth quarter and for the full year?
Well, it should be significant. Yeah, Blackwell, and as you know, we guide one quarter at a time. And but what I could tell you about Blackwell is this. This is a giant leap in AI, and it was designed for trillion parameter AI models. And this is, as you know, we're already at 2 trillion parameters. Model sizes are growing, about doubling every 6 months. And the amount of processing between the size of the model, the amount of data is growing 4 times. And so the ability for these data centers to keep up with these large models really depends on the technology that we bring to them. And so the Blackwell is designed also for incredibly fast inferencing. And inference used to be about recognition of things, but now inferencing, as you know, is about generation of information, generative AI. And so whenever you're talking to ChatGPT and it's generating information for you or drawing a picture for you or recognizing something and then drawing something for you, that generation is a brand new inferencing technology is really, really complicated and requires a lot of performance. And so Blackwell is designed for large models, for generative AI, and we designed it to fit into any data center. And so it's air-cooled, liquid-cooled, x86, or this new revolutionary processor we designed called Grace Blackwell Superchip. And then, supports InfiniBand data centers like we used to, but we also now support a brand new type of data center, Ethernet. We're going to bring AI to Ethernet data centers. So the number of ways that you could deploy Blackwell is way, way higher than Hopper generation. So I'm excited about that.
Nvidia has touted its upcoming Blackwell chips as the world's most powerful chips for AI, and the implications of this statement are staggering. Faster, more accurate, and more efficient AI training has never been closer. So, not a lot of people questioned it when the Financial Times reported that AWS was transitioning from using Nvidia's Grace Hopper superchip in favor of its successor, Grace Blackwell. The Financial Times said that the move made sense, given that the window between Grace Hopper and Grace Blackwell was small, and when Nvidia was asked about it, the company declined to comment. This added to the anxiety on Wall Street, and Morgan Stanley analysts even released a note about this, expressing their concerns about the pause in front of Blackwell. Additionally, analysts at Citi pointed to a potential air pocket in demand after last year's long wait times for Nvidia's chips dissipated, while UBS analysts noted that initial Blackwell shipment timing has some investors concerned about the transition. And even though AWS put the rumors to rest, some analysts still have concerns and warn against buying Nvidia now for this reason. So let's take a look at what AWS said and why investors shouldn't be too worried. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Investocracy.
You said on the call a couple of times that you'll be supply constrained for both Hopper and then Blackwell chips well until next year because of the vast demand that's out there. What can you do about that? Are there any sort of levers you can pull to help increase supply?
Hopper demand grew throughout this quarter after we announced Blackwell. And so that kind of tells you how much demand there is out there. People want to deploy these data centers right now. They want to put our GPUs to work right now and start making money and start saving money. And so that demand is just so strong. It's really important to take a step back and realize that what we build is not a GPU chip. We call it Blackwell and we call it GPU, but we're really building AI factories. These AI factories have CPUs and GPUs and really complicated memory. The systems are really complicated. It's connected by NVLink. There's an NVLink switch. There's InfiniBand switches, InfiniBand NICs, and then now we have Ethernet switches and Ethernet NICs. And all of this connected together with this incredibly complicated spine called NVLink. And then the amount of software that it takes to build all this and run all this is incredible. And so these AI factories are essentially what we build. We build it as a holistic unit, as a holistic architecture and platform, but then we disaggregate it so that our partners could take it and put it into data centers of any kind. And every single cloud has slightly different architectures and different stacks, and our stacks and our architecture can now deeply integrate into theirs, but everybody's a little different. So we build it as an AI factory. We then disaggregate it so that everybody can have AI factories. This is just an incredible thing, and we do this at very high volume. It's just very, very hard to do. And so every component, every part of our data center is the most complex computer the world's ever made, and so it's sensible that almost everything is constrained.
An AWS representative has clarified to Reuters that the shift from Grace Hopper chips to Blackwell chips is exclusive to Project SEBA, a collaborative supercomputer venture between AWS and Nvidia. Despite this transition, AWS maintains its commitment to offering services based on Nvidia's Hopper chips, which remain the company's flagship model for training AI systems. In essence, the partnership between AWS and Nvidia is evolving, with their collaboration on Project SEBA marking a significant milestone in their technological journey together. In fact, the transition of Project SEBA to Blackwell chips was a strategic move that was announced way back in March, when Nvidia revealed its new Blackwell chips. So this decision was a mutual one between AWS and Nvidia, aimed at leveraging the significant performance leap offered by the Blackwell GPUs. This upgrade is set to enhance Project SEBA's capabilities, positioning it as a powerhouse in the realm of AI and high-performance computing. Still, the concerns about the demand for Nvidia's current offerings as customers wait for Blackwell remain, with many analysts choosing to stay away from Nvidia stock for this reason. However, some experts have been steadfast in their bullish stance on the AI darling and demand for its products, so let's find out what they had to say. But before we continue, if you like this type of content, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications to stay up to date on everything happening with Nvidia. That said, back to the video.
Positive. I think the reaction is appropriate, and you have to consider some of these numbers are just spectacular when you just look at them compared to last year. Over $6 a share in earnings. I mean, last year for the same quarter was $1.09. So, these are extremely phenomenal rate of change in terms of earnings, and of course sales at over 26 billion is over 200% compared to last year. And you're right. If you look at where they're guiding towards now, the variance is narrowing because analysts in the last 2 quarters were really underestimating the progress NVIDIA has made. So, I talked about, NVIDIA effectively, and this is what I think is happening, that we're still, we're at the end of the beginning stages of AI, and this is this big monumental shift where there's this huge infrastructure build out, and that's going to take years. And I think we're going to continue to slowly progress forward and faster, not necessarily as fast as in the last year, but forward on a steadier clip. So, if you just take the context of the EPS, just to give you an example, without adjusting for the adjustments which are coming, $25.40 for this year, $32 next year, over $32.15 for next year. We're talking about forward multiples that are in the mid 30s to low 30s in the next 6 quarters. And, relative to the earnings growth, it's cheap. But see, the thing about it is we're not talking about a $25 billion company. We're talking about a nearly $2.5 trillion company. That's where I think everyone is just mesmerized by what's happening with this particular name.
Even though there are concerns on Wall Street, the majority of analysts have been largely unfazed by those concerns, with Barclays analysts writing that calls for an air pocket are seemingly overblown. Similarly, Rosenblatt analysts wrote that they don't subscribe to the air pocket theory in the hopper to Blackwell transition for the July quarter guide, as the transition to the B100 is scheduled for later in 2024. And following the AWS news, CFRA analyst Angelo Zeno told Investopedia that while he could see some pause in orders ahead of Blackwell from hyperscalers, so companies like Meta, Amazon, and Microsoft, he still sees little risk of a major push-out as demand for AI servers continues to outpace supply. In his most recent interview with Yahoo Finance, Jensen Huang confirmed this, saying that Nvidia is seeing too much demand and is trying to keep up when it comes to supply, even after Blackwell was announced. Also, amid the AI boom, Nvidia has struggled to come up with the supply to meet surging demand, and analysts have said they think there is already high demand for the new products, and that Blackwell is likely sold out well into 2025 as hopper supply improves. In my opinion, it's hard to see these rumors as bad news for Nvidia, because this says a lot about the company's future demand and how advanced the new Blackwell chips really are, which adds to the appeal of Nvidia's long-term growth story, even though there are many who think the company has peaked and won't go any further. Nvidia's amazing Q1 earnings prove to us that there's still more room to run, and investors should view any negative news of this kind, which causes the stock to slip, as an opportunity to load up on more shares. In fact, even Q2 guidance was great, despite the fact that many investors and analysts were stressing over growth without Blackwell. As a reminder, Nvidia said that it expects revenue of $28 billion, plus or minus 2%, and that's better than the $26.6 billion analysts had expected, and up more than 100% year over year. In general, the company's collaboration with AWS on Project SEPA signifies a pivotal step in advancing AI and high-performance computing capabilities. And despite potential challenges during the transition phase, Nvidia's strong market position and ongoing innovation efforts position it well for continued success in the dynamic AI landscape. But what do you think? What are your expectations for Nvidia? How will the Blackwell chips affect their market? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section. If you would like to know more about the latest updates about Nvidia and what it's been up to, then go ahead and click on the next video on your screen. See you there.